Hi everyone, Breanne from Pigment here, and today I'm going to be coloring a piece from a new book. Featured artist, her name is Raen. This beautiful picture here is actually entitled Forest Bride. So I'm just going to cover some tips and tricks for coloring grayscale pieces. This is going to be a grayscale book, and there's a lot of beautiful images that I would like to kind of help beginners be able to color and really get a feel for. So let's get started. I'm just going to start by pulling out my fade. It's already there. Perfect. So I'm going to use this in the corners of my page to kind of get my color going in my background first, because I'm not worried about going over the center piece, as I'm going to be coloring this all over again. So it's just a little trick that I can recommend when it comes to grayscale. Do your background first, and then you don't have to worry about bleeding into your main piece, as like I just said, you will be going over it after. So I'm just going to tap in, kind of get some color going here. I just play until I find something that I like. Kind of want it to be a little bit dark and mysterious. But not too dark. Let me grab my bloom. Okay. I think I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. At least I got my colors in place. I will be doing something with the background later, just not right now. So let's start on her face. I'm gonna make her a little bit more pale than normal. I'm actually thinking of sticking with this blue luminous palette that we got going here. So I'm just gonna bring this blue down. I'm going to pull out my airbrush, and I'm going to use what we did with the fade in the color of the skin. So just follow the natural lines of the highlight, because you can see where the gray begins. So go to the natural lighter places of the picture and just kind of highlight. I'm using a very light blue. This is going to be one trendy, mysterious forest bride. Sometimes I get ideas for skin tones by using fade. I've done that a lot where I've used like purples or pinks or something, and I like the effect it gives on the skin. So I just go in and I add highlights and a little bit of shadows after, and you can really get some cool effects. So this is kind of, I guess, a tutorial for interesting skin tones, if you will think that this is going to be blue. So definitely different. Blue with highlights and shading. I'm just doing my color matching for blending here. It's pretty early in the overall process, so I'm not too worried about it. I kind of think on the fly when I color. I love being creative and I love trying new things. This was actually not intended for me to do a blue skin tone. But when I was using that fade, I just really loved the way it picked up the highlights of her face. So this was definitely a last minute creative decision here. So I'm just shading under the jawline. I'm using airbrush for all of this. I usually do use airbrush for grayscale when I'm shading skin. It's a very, very useful tool. It really works well for blending colors together. One of my absolute favorite tools. Gonna fill in the ear. Oh, I tapped something there, the opacity. And the eraser. My wrist just lies in a bad position, I guess. I'm right over all the tools. Okay, so I'm just filling in this ear, making it dark. I really, really enjoy doing different things with coloring. Extremely fun being creative and trying new things. I've done blue skin before. This isn't going to be so much like blue, it's going to be highlighted that way for sure. There's going to be some mystery here. I'm just using the airbrush and I'm deepening this blue for around the eyes. I'm going to shadow. She's going to have deep eye makeup. She's almost going to look supernatural, this bride. Supernatural forest bride. And I do so much stuff. I've colored Raen's work before, and this isn't the first time I've done something different with her pieces. She inspires me to try new things, and I love her work. Very talented artist. So I'm just shading with that darker color I was using around the eyes, and I'm going under the nose here. This is all being done with the airbrush tool. As I do most of my grayscales, I use a lot of the airbrush. And like I said, it's because it blends very nicely, I find. And I just want to kind of lighten this highlight on the nose. There's another tool that you can use for, I'm actually going to go to my recently used colors for now, because these are the shades I'm using for highlighting and shading. There's actually a surprising tool that I use for highlighting a lot. And you got to play with the opacity and brush size, but it's really nice for the finishing touch on your highlights. And that would be the laser tool. And I will show you that at some point during this tutorial. So I'm just kind of bringing it in closer. The more detailed my shading gets, I bring it up close, and then I lower my brush size accordingly and deepen the color accordingly as well. I usually go deepest, closest to the point where I'm shading. Right now I'm doing along the nose line. And then as it spreads outward, I kind of leave it more sparse. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful piece this is. I love her grayscale. She does very unique grayscale, Raen does, and I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back with my white now. And I don't want to completely lose these blue tones. That's kind of what's making the piece. So I'm just gonna kind of brush it along lightly, this white. And then I'm gonna bring in the cool blue and blend. Very lightly, I'm pressing here. I want her to have blue tones, but I don't want it to just be blue, if that makes sense. I want it to be almost like illuminating, like there's a light on her face and it's causing this blue reflection. And we will be playing with most likely the plasma and laser in the background after. Highlighting parts of the face, so I'm highlighting the nose, the cheekbone, the chin, all places that would really catch the light. And I'm layering my highlights, so I'm using this light blue in certain spots and then going over it with white. Once you get used to doing highlights and shading, it'll just honestly come naturally to you. And color matching to blend is an important little trick as well. I'm digging these dark lips. That's actually what kind of attracted me to this piece and made me kind of go off kilter with the style. Is she's almost a bit gothic. And I love that. Love anything fantasy, anything that makes you kind of think out of this world. So here we go, we're shading and highlighting at the same time, kind of blending as well. Takes a minute to color match sometimes, but. And just in case you have a question, people aren't following what color matching is. This is your stylus or your pencil. And what you do is, say you want to pick up the hue of the color right here, and I want to shade it into there. Press down your pencil, and then it picks up the color, and then you can blend. And that's all color matching is. But it's a really useful tool, especially when doing skin. So I'm really digging the darkness in her eyes. So I don't want to lose that. And I don't want to make it too abrupt. So I'm just gonna go over her eyebrow, Normally I would detail it and do little strokes, but this picture doesn't really call for it. So I'm just gonna go over it lightly with the dark blue. It almost looks black, but it's actually like a dark. That's what I've been using to shade her skin. So I'm just gonna go over her eyebrow very gently. I'm not pressing too hard. I don't want a big dark black eyebrow. I just want a dark eyebrow. And the harder you press, the more color and saturation is gonna get applied, no matter what opacity you're on. Just shaping these brows. So there, we got a very dark, prominent brow with the shading in behind. I am going to lighten it up a tad. And for this, I'm actually going to grab a little bit of a lighter blue. It's almost like a marine blue. And lighten it up a bit. There I go with the eraser again. So I'm just gonna put my strokes in that I was talking about, what I usually do. I do like definition to the brow. I find it makes for a more realistic portrait. I'm not gonna overdo it though. I just want it very faintly in there. Actually, it should be darker here to begin with. And I'm gonna go get my marine blue again. Little brush size, 1 or 2, one's probably better. I want a fine line, but not that fine. You can almost barely even see it. And then I'm gonna go in actually with my white at 0. I don't want it to be, and I'm just gonna put in little highlighting areas so the brows stand out a tiny smidge, so they have some purpose in the picture, not just being 2 solid black lines. But that's pretty much all I'm gonna do with them. I'm gonna let them be. And then I'm gonna grab that dark blue again and I'm gonna shade the neckline. I want to get all my skin prepped. Now I'm shading and blending. So her skin is looking actually very what I wanted it to look like. It's looking very luminescent. It's looking very like gothic and ethereal, and that's what I wanted for this picture. So I'm happy with it so far. And always follow the grayscale hints. There's always hints in grayscale to where your shading and highlighting should go. There's lighter areas and darker areas. So always kind of don't go against those. Follow them and they'll enhance your picture even more to look the way that you would like it to look. I'm trying to get like a realistic shading but fantasy look, right? It's not going to be realistic because it's fantasy, but I want to have those realism tones in there. I want the shading to be in the right spots. I want all this fun stuff to come together nicely. I'm just going to shade the outer eye a little bit deeper. I think that's looking pretty cool. So now I'm gonna go to my white and I'm gonna do what I was talking about earlier, and I'm gonna bring out my laser. Now I'm gonna bring up my brush size. We're gonna try there. I'm gonna bring down my opacity a bit. I'm gonna use it. Just bring my brush size up bigger. I'm gonna use it as a highlighter. For these areas. Don't press hard, don't overpress. Just very lightly, and that's why I have my opacity down, because I don't want the actual light of the brush really. I just want the luminescent highlight from it. That's all I want from it. Getting that shinier highlight on the nose. Bring the opacity down, brush size up. Opacity down more. Get this brow. I don't want that brow being too, I really do like the darkness. I just wanted a light highlight there. Very, very cool. I'm digging it. Okay, so now let's do the eyes itself. Let's get those done. So gonna cycle back to airbrush, and I'm just gonna finish a couple last minute shading things around the eye before I go in, because I don't want to have to go back and disrupt this shading. I'm just deepening it up around the eye. Now I'm gonna go in with white, but in this instance, I'm not gonna fill the whole eye with white because I want it to be shaded. So I'm just going to kind of get a part of the white in the eye, if that makes sense. Kind of like that. I don't want to fill the whole eye. I want that shadowy, mysterious eye. Again, I'm gonna grab my laser, bring my opacity up. Okay, so I got my white of the eye that I want there. I left the shading. I'm gonna leave it that way. Now, for the actual color of the eyes, now I am so debating on doing a color that's completely gonna stand out or keeping them blue in tone with the blue theme. So I'm kind of going back and forth with this. But if I am gonna do something with the blue theme, you know what? I'm just gonna try purple. If I don't like it, then I'm gonna change it. But I just wanna see. It's all right, but I think the impact would be better with a more pale eye. So that's what we're gonna do. So I changed my mind back to what originally had set out for. I'm gonna grab the vapor. When in doubt, give it a try. And I'm just gonna input this color here. Yes, I think that looks more for the look I'm trying to go for anyway. I'm gonna grab this lighter blue, I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna leave my airbrush on. I'm gonna take it a step further and grab my laser, bring it down to white. All the way up on opacity, all the way down on brush size, especially for small areas. Now I got some ice cold eyes looking back at ya. So since we're here, let's use this darker blue here. Go airbrush mode. And I'm just gonna start filling in these lips. Now they're gonna look like they're black, but they're not. I honestly don't mind if they do look black though, because that's kind of the gothic look I'm going for anywho. And there's some lines there in the lips that we're gonna put back, but I'm just gonna go over the whole piece for now. Or the whole lip area. Look at that. What a sultry, sultry, sultry bride. So I'm just adding, what color I need here, this one. Just kind of bringing back that shine to the lip there. I do want a little bit of shine. I don't want it to be just boring. Just gonna get a little bit closer there, and I really want to define this edge. And then I'm going to grab laser and very, very gently and small, I'm going to go over the lines of those lips, but not with blue. I just did it with blue. I think it would look better with white. It almost takes less time doing funky skin tones than it does, I find, like realistic skin tones. It also helps that I put the overall color in place with the fade tool to begin with, right? That alleviates some time. So there is, I think, a pretty cool looking bride. I do have to do her back still. So let's finish all the shading on all the skin so then we can move on to the outfit and all the other things. So I'm just gonna shade around the back area and under where the arm is. Then a highlight. Then another layered highlight. And then another layered highlight. Just gonna use laser. Nope. Just trying to make it the same color as her face above there. Give the same kind of tone. So that's good for now. We can always, at the end, do little touch-ups and whatnot. So because the hair is kind of flowing onto the blouse, I'm gonna do the blouse first. It doesn't really make a difference. I think it would work out well either way. But I'm already here and I'm going to do the blouse. So I'm going to pick, I'm not exactly 100% sure yet. No. I actually kind of already like the color that it is. I'm just gonna add, I like how it has like the different tones of the blues from using the fade. So I'm gonna keep it. But I'm gonna define it and add some glamour. So the theme is surely going to be mostly all blue for this. Blue and white. Okay, so I'm lightening up this shirt because it's supposed to be a bride's dress, right? So I want undertones of like a white, but I just don't want it being all white. Okay. I'm just gonna start shading things too as I see them. So like behind the neck here should be dark. I'm just shading basically around the blouse and at the darkest points where I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of light. Just shadowing around the face and under the neck and at the back. You can already kind of see how it's popping and how the depth is coming through. And that's another important part of coloring, is having depth, having shadows. Very important part, I find. And if you analyze the pictures that stand out to you that people color on Pigment, you'll notice that a lot of times they have these features of shadows and different detailings, excuse me, when it comes to highlighting and such. All these little details are what is going to make your picture in the end. I recommend not rushing. I recommend just really enjoying the overall process of how you get to where you want to go with your coloring. It's a journey, and it's a fun one. The longer you spend trying new things, taking your time, the more you'll grow. So I'm just continuing shading. I'm just kind of going in and doing some of the finer details. Just darkening up around the neckline on a smaller brush size, because I really do want it darkest, closest to the skin. And that shadowing just really adds depth. And I'm gonna go around the hairline now as well, just a little bit. Not too much, it's not required to go overboard with that part. And then now we got that beautiful depth around the face. And if you really want to make it pop, you can go around with the white. Just lightly though. And not through the whole piece, maybe just where the cheekbone is, and then blend it out. I'm just deepening my shades. Kind of setting the mood for my hair. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do with the hair yet. I have a couple ideas. I'm not 100% done with this blouse either. I still have some things I would like to try with it. And for that, I'm going to need this light blue. And I'm going to need my laser, good old laser. Now bring the brush size all the way down and bring the opacity all the way up. You can bring it a little bit up if you want the brush size. Just make sure it's on a low setting. She is a forest bride after all. And what does every bride need on their wedding day? Glitter. You can actually experiment and use the glitter brush, which I do use often, but in this case I just want the sparkle and I don't want it everywhere. Just mostly want it towards the bottom of the dress and the highlighted areas. You want to make it kind of fade and get smaller as you go up. You want your bigger sparkles to kind of be at the bottom. We are making a bridal gown here. And I just want to go over this arm line here. I'm just going over the outlines a bit. Okay, so we finished the skin, the dress. So now we have to move on to the hair and the hair decorations. I just want to try something with the glitter tool first. I just kind of want a little bit more glitter in here. Okay, so glitter brush. I did end up using the glitter brush. Sometimes I just can't fight it. Okay, so I like the color of the hair. The whole point of this isn't to take away any colors. It's to enhance what has been brought out by the fade. So I didn't change the color of the skin. I just highlighted it and brought out it naturally. Same with the shirt. Now I'm going to do the same with the hair, but with the hair, I really want to add like a white. I really want like a, is that a white? No, that's a blue white. I want a real white, okay? And what I'm going to do with this white is all these light areas, I am going to lighten. Trying it out anyway. If I don't like it, I can always change it, but that is what my idea was. So let's try it out. Low brush size, high opacity. Not pressing too hard. And I'm going to darken up the shaded areas, like the inside of any curls or hair rolls. Again, I'm using the airbrush. To our white, but I want my recently used colors as well, because I'm going to be maybe playing with some of those. And I'm making hair strokes. Only where there's going to be hair, any of those areas around the flowers, I'm going to be shading all of that in. The hair is probably going to take a little bit, but that's okay. And always go in the direction of the hair. You can always add a couple little hair strands in too if you want. It's up to you. I mean, on top of like what's already kind of there. I would just say to try and make it look natural. Okay. let's continue on to the side. And we still have shading to do around all this hair, around all the pieces, around the flowers, around the skull piece here. And just go in the direction of the hair. Well, this is interesting the way the hair flows down here, because it kind of almost has its own misty shape here. Still haven't quite figured out how I'm going to use that. It's almost like it's ethereal hair or something. I actually have an idea. I just got an idea. I'm hitting that dang erase button. Okay, so my idea is as follows. I don't know if it's gonna work, but it is an idea. So there's this color I love to use, and I probably have it in my colors, but I'm just gonna grab it from here so you guys can find it for yourself if you ever want to use it. So I go to the neon palette, and I love, it's like a turquoise. Love it. Don't know why, but I do. So here is my idea. just kind of blending the hair strands. Gotta watch here because I'm going into my dress. And I'm just gonna kind of blend that greeny, bright turquoisey out a little bit. With the bright blue. I'm gonna actually add some of that bright blue as a layer. With the white. And if you're thinking that I didn't have any of this planned, you are absolutely right. I am just going with the flow. Now I'm adding some of that green in, as you can see. This is the third layer of color that I've added in my hair. Started off with white, then blue, and now I'm using turquoise. Pretty cool looking hair, if I do say so myself. Now, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do two-toned. I might do this part of the hair different. We'll see. Thinking about it right now. I'm trying out the purple. I'm not talking much just because it's a whole lot of just doing strands. So I did the purple on one side, and then I did like that kind of ethereal turquoisey bright blue on the other. I'm just lightening up that purple and kind of adding highlights to the rounded parts of the hair. That dang eraser. Getting in my way. So yeah, I'm just adding these nice little kind of lighter highlights into a little blend it out a bit. Thought it was mostly gonna be blue, but then here I go with all my crazy ideas. And we'll just add that ethereal blue to the ends of the hair on the other side, just to tie it in together. Okay. Oh, let's try. Bringing out the laser again. I'm just brushing it across the rounded edge of the hair to add highlight. Okay. I just want to try something here. I'm just adding highlights to the hair. Now it's time to do the shading around the ornaments, the flowers, the horns, and the skull. So let's get started on that. I'm going to deepen up this purple to almost black. I'm gonna go to my airbrush tool, and I'm just going to start dropping this dark color in and around the flowers. And in between. Anywhere where it should be dark. And then I'm gonna do the same around this. Almost looks like a hippo skull or something. Very different looking, very tribal looking. So I'm using the dark color for like of the purple around the purple areas. And then I'm just deepening up the green for these areas. Doesn't make that much of a difference because it's so dark, but I don't know. It's just how I do it. That's pretty much all the shading that needs to be done. You could take it one step further. Get the white, the black. Okay. Now, I was thinking about doing these flowers a couple of different ways, but I'm gonna do the antlers and the bone first, I think. I'm just gonna rub this light blue on spots. Keep hitting that eraser. And then I'm just going to take the black and fill in these holes. And I'm just using different blues to shade the skull. Being sure to fill in all these areas that are supposed to be a bit darker here. I'm gonna grab this white and highlight areas even further. I'm gonna grab the white, go to the laser, bring it down and bring the opacity up. For some added highlighting to that. Now for the horns, this I'm not 100% sure. I think I'll just leave them and highlight them. And then do more like a pinky highlight on this side. Because of the purple hair. laser. And then highlight little dots. You can get really good effects, and you don't always necessarily have to make everything hard. Sometimes the colors are where they already need to be, and I kind of showed that in this tutorial. A lot of the colors I didn't change, I just simply modified or highlighted or shaded the area. All started from fade. Now the flowers are a different story. These are going to be colored in for sure. Now, I'm not sure, I think I want to go purple with them, only because I think it would really stand out. So I'm going to try it. Yeah, I'm gonna make them purple. It's gonna look really cool, I think, with the purple hair on this side. Fix up my shading around the flowers while I'm doing this as well. I actually used a technical pen to fill because it's a little bit more precise. And I really don't want to bleed too much out my lines. I'll probably color them a lot faster with this. Technical pen is great for these small areas. See how much faster I'm coloring it? I'm not really pressing the back button at all. I don't have to worry, because when you press with the airbrush, if you press too hard, it bleeds out the lines. With this, you can just go. And you get nice, even coverage, which is what I want right now. I'm gonna shade these flowers and everything, but I just want the color down right now. Filling in these flowers. Okay. So now that that is done, I really love the way that purple pops. Really, really am digging it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my airbrush, and I'm doing this for the shading around the flower. So all these dark areas, I'm getting in there and making them darker. Really gonna emphasize that shade. Okay, so those flowers are popping, and I forgot 2 of them. Dang, that's okay. I'll just go back and get them. You thought you got away. Ha! So I'm just gonna fill these in like I did the other ones really quickly here. And I think I'm gonna do something with these flowers, and I'm kind of excited. I'm getting excited. Kind of went out of the lines there. Getting too excited. Okay. So now I gotta shade those as well. So I'll zoom back in. And shade around the dark areas of these flowers as well. They tried to escape, but without success. Okay, so they're all shaded now. I'm not gonna go like too far into it there. I just wanted to get some shading in. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab these lighter pinks here. I'm actually gonna try pencil for a minute. No, I think I'm gonna, normally I do use pencil for when I do flowers and stuff, but for this particular piece, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just gonna use airbrush. I don't really want too much detail on the flowers, if that makes sense. I just kind of want some light details, like lightening up the petals in certain areas. That's all I want. But pencil tool, just a little quick tip there, if you're trying to achieve realistic flowers with layering colors, oh wow, it works fantastic. Or apples or anything like that, really works awesome. Another one of my favorite tools. I just only use it when I'm trying to achieve realism with like certain textures and stuff. I'm going for a different vibe here, so I'm not gonna squirm about it too much today. The reason why I didn't go into the pencil thing is you'll see why when I'm done with these flowers here. Just gonna go for this lighter pink for a second. Okay, so those are the flowers, but I'm not done yet. So now I'm going to go to my white and I'm gonna go to my laser. I'm gonna bring it down, bring the opacity up. I'm gonna add sparkles. I just want to make a couple bigger ones so it stands out from far away. Here we go to plasma. Give that glow. Tap very gently. I'm not using the plasma hard. I just want that like misty look. I don't want this, you know, or that. I just want a very light look. Just trying to add some flair to the background, but I might just leave it. There's so much going on in this picture. It doesn't really need a crazy background. Maybe just some ethereal hair going that way. Let's want a dark blue here. I just want to add a little bit more depth to the corner here, almost like it's night in the background, but she's lighting up the sky because she's so luminescent. Okay, so I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. We are so excited to have Raen as a featured artist. It's a true pleasure. This is Breanne from Pigment, and I will see you again. Bye, guys.